make it 5 wins in a row with an overtime win over the Ottawa Senators, thanks to Showtime.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. Scotty's the host over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a freelance journalist for the Detroit News, while I am a color commentator for Oakland University, ACHAD1 men's hockey. And Scotty, we are riding a 5-game win streak and a pivotal victory over the Ottawa Senators, a team that is a huge rival of the Detroit Red Wings and for the last couple of years now seems to always have their number. How are you feeling, buddy? What's that first thought of yours after a 3-2 OT thriller?
Fired up, man. This is, and I guess that's 2 games in a row that I've been quote unquote fired up after a win. But it is in this era of Red Wings hockey, it always feels good to beat the Sens. And not even, I mean, we talked about it in the crossover yesterday, not even as much for me personally. I know a lot of people in the fan base genuinely do dislike the Ottawa Senators, but for me personally, it's not even as much about like a dislike for them. It's just like they always have the Wings number, and they are a division rival. Those are important games to like flip the script and be able to go out there and get a win. And I was very, very, very pleased with this performance. We'll talk a lot about it, I'm sure. But this was yet again a game in which the Wings were outplaying their opponent for, I won't say like all 60. It wasn't pure and utter domination. Obviously, it was an overtime game, and Ottawa still left with a point. But they looked like they were in the driver's seat for long stretches at a time. And I think that they deserved to win. And that's like, there are a lot of wins in the Newsy era where you're like, I don't even know if they really deserve that one. And now, not only are they on a W5, but they are looking like the better team in pretty much all of these games too.
Yeah, this was definitely one where my first thought was, well, I should say it was a first action rather than a first thought, because instead of like, it was just my internal screaming and a ton of fist pumping after this victory.
Why weren't you just screaming out loud? Why did you?
Allison already went to bed. I didn't want to wake.
Oh, okay, yeah. Don't want to wake up the wife.
Yeah, don't wake up the wife.
Want to wake up the wife.
It was internal screaming and a lot of fist pumping in this one. And Scotty, in the McLellan era, we've seen a lot of they come out swinging, right? They come out fast. They come out shooting the puck a lot, possessing the puck a lot. It wasn't really the case in this one. Not that they weren't playing well, but they didn't have a shot on that through the first 5 or 6. After a couple power plays, they got going. They ended up having the edge in shot attempts and shots after the end of the first period. Second period, I thought, like the trend we have seen, they kind of got dominated. In the McLellan era here, and this is something that we're going to need to get cleaned up if you're a Detroit Red Wings player, is that second period. They always seem to get pretty heavily outplayed. The Ottawa Senators had almost 65% of the expected goals for percentage in the second period, and 55% of the total shot attempts at 5-on-5. But then again, they readjusted, and in the third period, the Red Wings took it to the Ottawa Senators, generating 60% of the expected goals in the third period. So I give a lot of credit to this team. This was not a game where they came out fast and they scored 2 or 3 goals. The second period, they struggled, but in the third period, they were able to come back from a deficit, tie it up, and then win it in overtime. So it was just like mostly a sigh of relief, too, because they had beaten a team that really felt like, we talked about Winnipeg Jets are a big litmus test because they're one of the best teams in the league, but the Ottawa Senators seem to always have the Detroit Red Wings number, and they're a huge divisional rival. Beating them to continue the win streak, to start a homestand where you face 3 more opponents that are highly beatable, is a huge hurdle for them to get over. And I think that's where my mindset's at right now. Like, this win felt like it had greater implications than just continuing the win streak and trying to close in on the playoff picture.
Yeah, absolutely. And I, again, like obviously you can just point to the new coach as McLellan coming in as a hardcore kind of line in the sand of this is when it started turning around, and I think that's, I don't know, pretty objective currently. But I do think that in the big picture of the season, because it is such a bleep show in the middle in the conference, like you're right back in the thick of it. And so this is a fifth straight win against a rival, against an interdivision opponent that now has vaulted you. You blink your eyes and we're talking about doom and gloom and the season's over and everything's terrible. And now we're 6 games into the McLellan era and we're talking about being right back in the thick of the playoff chase here.
Yeah, and I mean, I was talking to you before the show, and before we get to the difference makers, I'll leave us with this on the first thought category is the Red Wings, Tampa Bay won, so it's changed a little bit since I talked to you in pre-show, but with the Detroit Red Wings victory, they, at 7th place in the Atlantic Division, sit 4 points back of 4th place in the Atlantic Division. 4 points back of 4th place. That's how close this Atlantic Division is, and they're only 2 points back of the second wild card spot, despite being 7th in the Atlantic, where the Columbus Blue Jackets have 42. Like, it is quite literally nobody is out of it. Like, even the Buffalo Sabres, who are dead last in the Eastern Conference, sit just 7 points back. One hot streak, and they're back in the mix. So the Red Wings have won their way back in the mix. When we say we are back, like that's not like a joke. Like, the Red Wings are very much back in the mix.
Yeah.
Can they maintain it? That's something left to be said, right? We got a new coach bump. We're riding a hot streak. It's how they continue to play once the honeymoon phase is over will be the tell. But as it stands right now on January 7th, soon to be January 8th of 2025, the Detroit Red Wings are back in the mix for the wild card.
I like that. That was slick, buddy. That was slick. Yeah, I completely agree with you, though.
Absolutely. Scotty, difference maker in this hockey game. Who do you have as the reason why the Red Wings won this in overtime? Who or what, I should say.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a layup here, and I'm gonna just go with Patrick Kane. But I do think that this is much more of a, in this game, he was, you could argue quite literally the difference maker. It was a tie game in overtime, and Patrick Kane scored a goal. So like that's really easy to point to as a difference maker there. But just over the course of the last few weeks, last 10, 12 games, I mean, we're talking about. I remembered why you're laughing. Yeah. Brian had trouble with Patrick Kane's statistics before we hit record. A little bit. It's one of those things where we were talking about him in the sense of like a washed player that might get moved to the bottom 6 like a month ago, right? The beginning of December, we were like, this dude has slowed down. He's not producing. He's a black hole defensively. What do you do with a player like that? And we were talking about like what we literally had an episode called What to Do with Patrick Kane. And now he is one of the hottest scorers on the team. He's one of the biggest point producers on the team. He's that goes pre-McLellan era, which almost gives you more confidence because it's like, okay, well, if he's done it across 2 different coaching stints now, right, you're a little bit more confident that it's legit and it's for real, and that's the kind of production you're going to get the rest of the season from him. And if that is true, that is going to be obviously a huge difference. But just in terms of what we are again like could potentially see out of him the rest of the year, it's nice to get this level of production from a guy that we paid and then got off to a slow start. It's like that was scary. That was okay. Like everything's going wrong. We just paid Patrick Kane at, in his in the twilight of his career, coming off of this surgery, whatever. Same conversation as last year, and now it's caught up with him. And it turns out it looks like it hasn't, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it's just the fact that you need him to be Patrick Kane.
Yeah.
And he has been as of late. You were just laughing at the fact that I struggled ahead of time. I knew he was at a point per game pace right now. I didn't know how much over that he actually was. This entire time, I thought he was maybe 1 point above a point per game pace. And I did the math maybe 4 times wrong before I got it right because I don't know how to count. It's not 100% my fault, though. ESPN, literally the sum is not correct. It says he has 4 points in the last 3, but
no
he has
one
5.
cares about your excuse. You can't do math.
Regardless, Scotty, he has 8 points in the last 5 games. I checked that like 5 or 6 times. I still think you need to double check that because I don't trust myself anymore. It's all gone. At one point, I thought it was 6 and 5. Then I thought it was 7 and 6. And I was like, wait, he's got 8 points. And how many games? 8 and 5. That's way different. So, but he has 8 points in the last 5 games. Patrick Kane is doing Patrick Kane things. He's being productive in the deployments that he's given. And that's what you need out of Patrick Kane. And a lot of that's coming in the power play, sure. But, he is having moments where it comes at 5-on-5. The game against on Sunday, right? Or was it Saturday, rather, where he had the 5-on-5 goal against the Winnipeg Jets, or 5-on-5 assists against the Winnipeg Jets on the Alex DeBrincat goal. Like, those are moments you're going to need Patrick Kane to show up and for this team to win games because they are a skill-based forward core. So you need your skill-based forwards to score goals.
Right.
Shocker. But for me, my difference maker, Scotty, is going to be the same difference maker it's been since McLellan's taken over. It's the power play. There have been times where it's been special teams because the PK has been good, but like the power play went 2 for 3 again in this game. And before the McLellan took over, once this game started, rather, when this game began, they flashed a statistic on the screen that said the Red Wings are 8 for 16 on the power play in the I think the 4-game win streak. Now, after 2 more, they are now 10 for 18. I did that slow to make sure I did the math right. We've already got a bad track record here.
But can't do math.
That's a 63% clip. I did that on the calculator before we talked about it.
I hope
63% clip, Scotty. The best power play in the league is 31.5% with the Winnipeg Jets. So, no, that's not sustainable, but that is the reason why they're winning games. There's a lot of other factors, but numero uno is the power play right now, Scotty. It's playing unbelievable.
Absolutely. And I mean, we have ragged on the penalty kill so much this year that I almost feel like the praise of the power play really over the course of the season, they got to a really hot start, then they cooled down a little bit, and then now they're on fire again. Has maybe gone by the wayside a little bit. So I completely agree. And they did let up a penalty kill goal in this one, but obviously on the power play, they were fantastic. And that is something that, if the 5-on-5 metrics continue looking how they have, which are significantly better than they were under Lyon, and you're getting incredible power play numbers, I mean, that's what you want, obviously. Captain Obvious statement. So we can hope that sustains.
Yes, sir. We'll be back in segment 2 here with some notable performers, so stay tuned to Locked On Red Wings. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same-game parlays, and so much more. And Scotty, today I won 60 whole cents on about 4 different bets. I won 2 and I lost 2. But the wins were bigger than the losses. I won 60 cents at FanDuel. And you, too, can win a handful of change if you visit FanDuel.com today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. He's fighting the urge. I can see it.
I mean, that was the NFL. Like, that was so ridiculous. Okay.
I can literally see it in your face. You just fight the urge. You got 2 wolves inside.
I mean, that one almost felt intentional. Like, that one was absurd.
Oh, okay. Notable performers, Scotty. There's a list you could get to in this hockey game. Who is on the top of your mind?
Yeah, I mean, Larkin is a really easy one to go with. Obviously, getting him consistently putting the puck in the back of the net again has been a complete. I mean, you want to talk about difference maker, in a big picture sense. That is the definition of, right? I mean, they talked about it on the broadcast. Raymond talked about it, with the pass to him to get the empty netter a few games ago and how he's been scoring kind of nonstop since. That has gone a long way and will continue to. That is your captain. That's your best player. You're building around him. Anytime he's scoring, that is gonna lead to good things, and that is what the last, whatever it is now, 4 or 5 games has been. So nice to see him continue. It was a beautiful setup. That whole play, tic-tac-toe, everything about it was beautiful. What?
It was the power play.
It was it was the power play.
I love this power play right now.
And yeah, man, it is very, very, like, you have Razor is hot, you have Larkin is hot, and now you have like Patrick Kane's been on fire. I mean, DeBrinket's been consistent all year. Like, you have a legitimate, consistent scoring effort from a lot of your top 6 right now, which is really nice.
It is very nice. And let me double check my math here one more time. Dylan Larkin has 5 goals in his last 4 games. So part of this props goes to Lucas Raymond for, again, giving him that empty net goal to get off the schneid, because since then he's been on fire scoring goals. And to your credit, Scotty, as you put it, that tic-tac-toe play from Raymond to DeBrinket to Larkin down low, and even to Larkin with the hockey sense too. He had an opportunity to shoot just moments before, but he didn't like his look. So they reset, and he got into the bumper position. And the patience by Raymond too. He waited, he pulled 2 defenders towards him, freeing up Dylan Larkin in the middle. So when that pass went loaded to Cat, it was just a touch right back to Dylan Larkin. So just a great goal by Larkin. And then too, the assist on the game winner, right? Mickey Redmond kept talking about how important winning faceoffs is. One of your favorite statistics, Scotty, is winning faceoffs. And Dylan Larkin dominated that category in tonight's game too. I think at the end of this game, let's double check this statistic here, but he had something like a 70% win percentage on the faceoff. It was 64.7% win percentage in the faceoff in this hockey game, and the Red Wings dominated the faceoff circle, and none were more important than that power play faceoff in the offensive zone in overtime. He wins that clean back to Patrick Kane, and they score off the faceoff. Doesn't happen without Dylan Larkin. On top of that, he had 4 shots of his own. So he was everywhere on the ice tonight, and he was especially noticeable in the offensive zone. So completely agree, Dylan Larkin is one of the notable performers. But, we're talking about the top line a lot these days, and I want to give a shout-out, notable performer, Todd McLellan, actually, in this as well. I've noticed a couple of things that he did. One, the obvious one, is he shook up the top line in this game. He shuffled the lines a little bit. He didn't think he was getting enough out of this team or Joe Veleno or both, probably a little bit of both. So he demoted Joe Veleno down and boosted Marco Casper up. And obviously that paid dividends almost immediately. Joe Veleno starts the third period on the 4th line, and near immediately, it might have been his first, maybe second shift of the third, he scores the game-tying goal with that 4th line. A 4th line that had been doing well defensively but hadn't generated any offense since McLellan took over, suddenly scored a goal. And a lot of that goes to Tyler Mott. I thought Tyler Mott had a fantastic game. In fact, I thought he's looked very good in this stretch as well. For a guy that you're not expected to produce a lot of offense, I noticed him very active in the offensive zone every single game. And he entered the zone with possession. He made a nice move to free up, get himself into space, drop that puck back to Simon Edmondson, who just fired it on net. Easy rebound. Well, not easy rebound. He got laid out while he was shooting the puck.
No kidding.
But yeah, that 4th line immediately generated a goal. And I thought Marco Casper, he looked good in that he knew where to go. I think there was definitely some nerves, maybe some pace of play, where it's going to take maybe him a solid practice on the top line to get up to speed so he's in sync with those guys, because there were a couple of mishandled pucks or maybe the slight hesitation, right, on the 2-on-1 that Anton Forsberg robbed him of, Marco Casper, of a goal. But like there was I would say the fire was lit on what could be a very solid top line. It just, that fire's not ablaze yet. It's still working. So I'd like to see maybe if they get a couple practices in, and they got time, right? Next game's not till Friday. If Marco Casper can get up to speed and start clicking with those guys. But the other reason why I choose Todd McLellan, right, is not just because of the line shuffling, but for what he did at the end of the first period. They were up 1-0. There's like 25 seconds left. They had an offensive zone faceoff. So what does he do? He reunites Simon Edmondson and Moritz Seider as one pair. puts them in the offensive zone. And that, so not only is that a great offensive opportunity, but what it does is I'm not leaving anything to chance. We are not allowing a goal with 30 seconds left, and we're going to go to the intermission up 1-0. Like, that is just smart coaching. Give my team, at the end of the period, the best chance to either score or at least go net zero going into the first intermission, because it's the first intermission. I can just sync everything back up coming out of the second. So I thought those were two huge moments for the Detroit Red Wings. Obviously, one bigger than the other with the game-tying goal, but I wanted Todd McLellan to get a shout-out.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's very great given that he's 6 games in, right? Everybody wants to hear that he's doing well and there's notable differences. But the fact that there is tangible change, right? Like, it's not just, like, we're running out the same thing and winning now. Like, no, like there is tangible differences between what the team looked like and what the product they were rolling out there, the lines they're rolling out there, the strategy they're rolling out there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what we've been seeing lately, which is obviously fantastic because they're winning.
Yes, sir. We're going to head to another quick break. When we return, we'll finish up notable performers and send you guys off into Wednesday. So stay tuned to segment 3 of Lockdown Red Wings. I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, comedy, theater, or so much more. One of my favorite memories is soon to be, Scotty, the Stadium Series game. I actually today, maybe yesterday by the time you guys are listening to this, bought my Stadium Series tickets down in Columbus to see the Wings and the Blue Jackets play at the Horseshoe from Game Time. And I got that $20 off using code LOCKEDONNHL, so I'm very pumped to go to my first NHL outdoor game, and I couldn't have done it without Game Time. I used that all-in pricing to make sure I didn't get fooled going into the checkout. I knew what I was going to pay before I committed, and I also, they have this great way where it shows you the best value tickets. I got great value on tickets on the second level where seats around me were like double, triple, but this seat was not. And I would not have known about that without Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. That's what I used to get $20 off my purchase at Game Time. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem that code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. Segment 3, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty, Cam Talbot came in relief of Alex Lyon in this game. Alex Lyon left the game with, I think they said, an upper body injury and did not return. He was a perfect 10 for 10 when he left. So Cam Talbot had to come in cold to a game in which the Red Wings were winning at that time, 1-0, made 21 of 23 saves, including some big ones when the Senators were pushing hard in the second period for a .913 save percentage. I thought that is definitely worth a notable performer. Coming into any game cold and putting up a 900-plus save percentage to lead your team to a win, I think is huge.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this really just is continuing to be a storyline throughout the year is just the goaltending in general, right? Like this, I cannot reiterate enough how shaky the goaltending was perceived to be going into the year. How shaky I thought it was certainly going into the year. And now they are in a situation where Lyon gets hurt mid-game. We get to go to our better goaltender, at least this season, the goalie who has been better on the year, and Talbot. And if Lyon has to miss time, then it's Ville Husso, who, while he hasn't been great in his Red Wings tenure, is the highest paid goalie in the organization and was good in his most recent NHL stint. Like they have depth there. You could argue even too much depth, but they have depth there. And that's obviously something that you are very much going to need throughout the course of an NHL season.
Absolutely. Scotty, who else? You got anyone else for notable
You know,
performers?
I just really quickly, not a big point producer in this one, but JT Compher was playing some defense out there, baby. That was very noticeable. He had and this is aside from the flashy back poke check, which was incredible there. Was that wasn't on Tkachuk, was it? Either way, fantastic play, potentially goal saving. But really all game, man, applying pressure, really good on the forecheck. Really liked what I saw from him. I know that people are frustrated with him and Kopp, both because maybe they're not producing as much offensively as was originally planned for when they put pen to paper. But to see a game like this, you really still feel and very much see with just watching the game his impact on the ice.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you there. He did make that huge play, and I still want more offensively out of them, and I'm hoping that with McLellan's mindset kind of being playing to my players' strengths rather than trying to make them fit a system, we'll see more offense out of Compher and Kopp. I mean, I know there's a big hubbub about Kopp his first season here. He only put up 9 goals, but he did put up 30-plus assists in that season, his second highest point total of his career. If we can get closer to that with Kopp, and I mean, he's set up really nicely to do so, playing in a line with Kane and DeBrincat. I know they treat Kopp as kind of a safety valve on that line, but Compher, we know, has a ton of offense left in him. He had over 50 points last year with the Detroit Red Wings. That's nothing to sneeze at. That is top 6 offense. I know it's not 80, 90 points like we love to see as fans, but 50 points is very strong production. So if we could get either of those guys going offensively, that'd be great. But defensively, yeah, they are as advertised right now, and JT Compher was huge in this hockey game. The final thought I had was more just kind of, I wanted to mention Albert Johansson again. This is another game where he was asked to play in the second pair with Simon Edvinsson, who left the game briefly with an injury but did come back. And he still managed to play the fewest minutes on the Red Wings, and I'm sure they were very careful with how they deployed him.
I mean, he took a kneecap to the dome, baby. That's tough.
Edvinsson, yeah. I was surprised he came back, honestly. I wonder... I do sometimes wonder if the injury, he's got a nagging injury, because it feels like a couple times this season he's been like shaken up, goes down the tunnel, and then comes back and just plays the rest of the game. But that's just baseless speculation on my part. But Albert Johansson, I mean, they're asking him, he's been a healthy scratch, and they're asking him to play top 4 minutes, top 4 deployments with Simon Edvinsson. So, like, I'm aware they're probably softening the deployments Edvinsson's getting a little bit because he's playing with Johansson. But, I mean, McLellan talked about it. That's a big ask for a kid who's a rookie. And I think, while there's certainly areas of improvement to his game, he's not without flaw in these games. I think he is handling himself fairly well, given what's been asked of him versus the little amount of NHL experience he actually has.
Yeah, I agree.
So I just wanted to give him a shout out. Other than that, I think that about does it. 5 in a row, back to 500 points percentage, 2 points back of a wild card. We are so back in the wild card conversation.
Happy birthday.
That was a really nice way to cap off a great birthday. That really was.
So, do the listeners know that you put that up yourself for attention?
I did not put that up myself for attention.
You can be honest. It's just us here.
No, that was my wonderful wife, Allison. Spent about 45 minutes with a fine point, with several fine. It's
impressive.
Sharpies.
It's impressive. Patience off the charts. I'd get to like pee, and I'd be like, all right, I'm good with this. I'm done. So shout out to Allison.
My first thought was, that's incredibly sweet. My second thought is, everyone's going to think that I hung that for myself. or that I was wishing you happy birthday.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Not close. Nope. Not anytime soon. So yeah.
But 29 years old and did it with a W.
29, man. 29. That's that's a good one.
When do I get my AARP card?
Yeah. For sure, dude. You are ancient. Golly, imagine being that old.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
Anyways, we ball. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, Scotty. I was about to wrap it up, but I do have one last thing. Last thing. I just want to feed into the hype one last time. Have you seen the Red Wings' next 3 games?
Oh, buddy. It's almost like we talked about it before we hit record. Yeah, I have. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
And there, look, I'm, if W8s were easy, that happen all the time. All right. I'm not saying that's on the table here, But even if you walk out of an 8-game stretch going, 7-1, 6-2, you're talking about being a pretty happy camper. And they play 3 bottom of the barrel teams over the next 3 games. So
All at home.
all at home.
Yep, they play the Chicago Blackhawks, the worst team in hockey, at home
That's
Friday
Friday.
night. And then they play Seattle on Sunday.
Sunday matinee.
That's the second worst team in the Pacific. And then they play San Jose, the worst team in the Pacific.
Yeah, Tuesday night.
To end the homestand. I'm not
3 games
saying
over a week too. You're going to be rested.
2 days off going into that 3-day homestand.
Feeling good.
You got to win 2 of the next 3.
I think you got to win 2 or 3. I agree.
I'm not going to come on here and be like 8-game win streak. Here we go. But you got to win at 2 of the next 3. It's got to be Chicago and San Jose. Seattle would be the cherry on the top. But we've said that before, and they lost to San Jose already once this year and once last year too. Yeah. So anything's possible. But they have a very good opportunity presented to them. Let's hope they take advantage.
Absolutely, brother.
Yep. Okay, we ball.
We do.
Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.